All right, today's video is about installing the Terrafirma rock sliders with the tree guards. So I've done one side, and this video is all about installing them and using all the tips and knowledge I learned from doing this on the other side. So this is going to make it easier. These are the Terrafirma. You're going to see on YouTube that they've got Rovers North does one, and that's this one that's got the bolts that go through the sills. There's another one on Atlantic British video on YouTube. That's a different one. It's got they're using Riv Nuts and then some separate bracing, and that is a different rock slider. So this is the one, I think it's the same one that's on the Rovers North. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to need to do, if you've got the front mud flaps, remove them. This is the one from the driver's side. Essentially, you're going to have two Phillips head screws, and then three 10mm nuts holding this on. So first thing you got to do is take that off, and then we'll go to the second part. All right, the second thing you need to do is there is a 10mm nut that comes down from here. It's on the other side of this plastic sill cover. Undo that. All right, next we need to remove the 8 clips that hold this plastic on the driver's side. I think the best way to do it is use a screwdriver, and you can get that loose. And then this tool, which can be, you can get this from Harbor Freight. It'll pull right out. And then use one of these tools and get it out. So just work all 8 of those out. All right, for the rear door, we only have 3. And then this one that's a little oddball, and it's just a flathead screwdriver, brings it on out. So take those out, and then this whole thing will come off. Okay, to note, after you get the sill cover off, you're gonna see this little stud sitting out here. That's one of that oddball fastener was on. You do not need to grind that down. You don't have to touch it. It'll come right here. The rock slider will be right here. The plate will. And then if you notice, rock slider's got this cutout right here. That's for right here on the B pillar. So next thing you know, we need to drill out some holes. All right, so now we need to take care of this bolt right here, and it's a little bit of a stabilizing for this fender. And there's a little bracket right here. You really need to remove this bracket. Now, the rock sliders do have this hole. Presume that this, you can reattach this, but realistically the bolt does not line up. When I did it on the other side, it did not line up. Now, if you wanted to make this hole bigger, so it doesn't have to be so exact, you could probably do that. We might do that. But it did not line up on the other side. So we'll go from here. But the first thing we need to do is remove it. Okay, so time to drill some holes. You can put this thing up and mark them, but essentially it's 6 holes on the driver. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip 1. That's where the Terrafirma logo is. 5, 6. What I suggest is use a 5/16. We're not going to over drill it yet, but we want that to be to drill into the other side as accurate as possible. So let's use a small drill bit right now to line that up. All right, so I've drilled with the 5/16 here, 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 here. Skip this one, because that's where the logo is. Here, I have not done this one. This one's a little harder to get to because the door, and to be able to drill straight through. Now on the passenger, I've only drilled this one so far. This one, again, the door is just like the front door. It's a little hard to get the right angle. And then this one I have not done yet, but we'll do that right now. All right, so we do have an issue with this one hole. There's some structural part behind it. And if you notice up here, if I can show you, drilled through, it's pretty close up there. So if you're going to air anyway, air down when you're drilling through. Also, the bolt is going to be too long, so we're going to have to buy a new bolt. I don't know why Terrafirma doesn't account for this, but it is what it is, because the bolt's going to be too long right here. All right, so let's set the expectation on this. You do need a jack like this. Jack stands, I think, are worthless. I tried that, but you really need the extra force of a jack to put it up there. Second of all, you are going to be raising and lowering this multiple times. So set the expectation. You're not just going to raise this once and bolt it on, and yeah, you're going to be doing it multiple times. So I've had to spread those out a little bit with a hammer. So I'll just take a little spray paint and we're kind of scratched off the paint, but would not fit if I didn't bend those back a little bit. Not a lot, just maybe 1 millimeter. So our first dry fit, just put the bolts in first. Don't use these. Don't use these until the very end. Just put bolts in and then go from there. Now let's drill some more holes. All right, so now we've got our markings on the other side. So we're gonna go on the inside of the sills and drill those out. Again, we're gonna use the 5/16. You could do this with every hole, but if you think you can go straight, then you don't need to, but on some it's harder. So I just marked them, go on the other side. But again, we're just gonna use the 5/16 drill for right now. All right, so you can see right there, my original hole is right there, but then I marked it, so I was definitely a little off. So if you want to, just mark them. And this is the one next to the door, the front door. So it's definitely a lot easier to drill these from underneath. So I'll have to enlarge this hole. So this is the second test fit. Again, I'm not using any of just the hardware, not the just the bolts. Don't use the reinforcers. But obviously I need to draw out this hole a little bit, and I think I missed that one. So off this thing comes. Like I said, you're gonna take this thing on and off a few times. So just be prepared. All right, so I got my bolts in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill with a 1/2-inch drill bit. Let's see where it is. There it is. But only on this side for number 4 and 5. And on this side, just this one, number 2. And that way, when I put it in, it won't be able to go all the way through. So the bolt will go through, but this will hit the sill. So 2, 4, 5, and number 2 over here. And that's drilling on this side, because this has got the big opening. The ones with the small opening, I will do the opposite and go into the sill, because that's the way these will come in from the other side. All right, so we got number 2, number 4, number 5, and then number two right here. So you don't have to drill all the way through, just on this side. So I'm going to go underneath on the sill, and I'm going to do 1, 3, and 6. And then I'm going to do this one, number 3. So 1, 3, and 6. 1, 3, and 6. And number 3. So do a test fit. Obviously it's pretty tight. But if you notice, so this is where it's going to go on this side. It doesn't go on this side, but if you notice, it'll come in from the other side. And that's why you don't want it to be able to come all the way through. So let me test fit all those, and I have to round them up a little bit. All right, so I've test fitted this with all the holes. This is a nice little addition. These drill bits are expensive, like $45, except for at Harbor Freight they're about $5 or so. So I'm gonna drill out, I'm gonna a little spray paint all the holes I drilled out inside. I'll do it on the other side too. All right, now let's raise it, hopefully for the last time, and we'll put in some bolts. All right, so now I've got all the bolts in. They're on the other side too. Now I will take out one individual bolt at a time, use my washers, and use the spacers, and then we'll be done. Tighten it up. So here's my problem on this bolt. As you can see, there's really no room for a nut up there. There's just no way. I think I might put a riv nut on the outside. No, it's not as good, but I think having one being a riv nut's fine. And I'd rather just have a bolt there, bolt head showing, than nothing showing there. So I think it'll be fine. All right, job done. So I got them on. I did use a riv nut for this one. I don't think that's that big of a deal, one riv nut in there. The issue is I tried to drill another hole, but actually went too low, and so the nut wouldn't have been flush and it would have looked out of place. So this way with the riv nut, I got an 8 millimeter M8 by 1.25 by 30 millimeters long bolt for the riv nut, so it looks uniform with everything else. So highly recommend this. I think it looks good, especially gives you a nice place to step on, load anything onto the roof. So again, 5/16 drill, 1/2 drill. Might need one of those step drills. That helps. But biggest thing is you will be taking this thing on and off to test fit, and don't test fit using these spacers. Wait until the very end, because you'll lose them inside the sill. Hope this helps.